The vanishing village of Kuldhara. I had always been drawn to the unknown. Ghost stories, urban legends, haunted places, they all fascinated me. So when I first heard about the abandoned village of Kuldhara, I knew I had to visit. The story was strange, even by local legend standards. Kuldhara, a village that had once thrived, was said to have vanished overnight. Every last inhabitant disappeared without a trace. Some said they left to escape a cruel ruler. Others claimed they were cursed. But the weirdest part? No one who has tried to live there since has survived. My friends thought I was crazy when I told them I was going. The place is cursed, dude, Arjun warned. People say the village itself is haunted, that the spirits of those who live there protect it, driving away anyone who tries to stay. I shrugged it off. It's just a village, man. Abandoned, sure. Creepy? Definitely. But cursed? Please. So armed with my camera, a flashlight, and a sense of adventure, I set out for Kuldhara. The road leading to it was long and desolate, flanked by dry desert and cracked earth. By the time I reached the outskirts of the village, the sun was dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ancient stone walls. The village looked exactly how I imagined an abandoned place would. Crumbling houses, dilapidated courtyards, and streets covered in sand. But what struck me most was the silence. There was no wind, no distant sounds of wildlife, just an unsettling stillness. It felt like time had stopped here, like the village was holding its breath, waiting for something. I wandered through the empty streets, the ground crunching beneath my boots. Each house seemed identical to the next, hollowed-out rooms with sunken ceilings and broken doorways. It was as if the entire village had simply given up, allowed the desert to swallow it whole. As I walked deeper into Kuldhara, I started to feel uneasy. The air grew thick, almost heavy, and though the temperature was cooling with the evening, I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that something unseen was lurking just beyond my vision. I pulled out my camera, snapping pictures of the ruins, trying to distract myself. The flash illuminated the walls, casting strange shadows that seemed to move in the corner of my eye. I blinked, chalking it up to nerves, but the feeling didn't go away. It grew worse. I reached the village square, where the stories claimed the villagers had made their last stand. According to legend, the people of Kuldhara had cursed the place before they left, ensuring no one would ever take their land. As I stood in the square, surrounded by the silent buildings, I thought about how desperate they must have been to leave everything behind, how afraid they must have felt. A sudden gust of wind whipped through the square, sending a cloud of dust into the air. I covered my face, coughing as the grit filled my lungs. When the dust cleared, the village seemed different. The crumbling houses looked less decayed, as if they were somehow frozen in time. And then I heard it. A whisper. Faint but unmistakable. It sounded like a child's voice, carried on the wind. My heart raced as I spun around, shining my flashlight into the darkness. The beam revealed nothing but empty streets and silent walls. "Hello?" I called, my voice echoing through the empty village. No response, just the oppressive silence. I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it was all in my head. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. I could feel it. The air seemed thicker now, the shadows longer, darker. And then I saw movement, a flicker of light from one of the houses ahead. I froze, my pulse pounding in my ears. No one was supposed to be here. The village was abandoned, condemned. But there in the doorway of one of the houses stood a figure, small and hunched like an old woman, her face hidden by the shadows. She didn't move, just stood there watching me. Who are you?" I stammered, taking a step forward. The figure vanished. I blinked, shining my flashlight on the spot where she had been, but there was nothing. Just an empty doorway. Panic set in. I could hear whispers again, louder this time. Voices all around me like a crowd murmuring just out of reach. They were coming from every direction, surrounding me. I turned in circles, shining my flashlight wildly, but all I could see were the shadows. "Leave," the voices whispered, growing louder. "You're not welcome here." I stumbled backward, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The village seemed to close in on me. the walls looming higher, the streets narrower. My mind raced as I tried to find my way out. But every turn I took led me deeper into the maze of crumbling buildings. The whispers followed me, growing more insistent, more menacing. The temperature plummeted, and I could see my breath in the air. The whispers became a chorus of angry voices, overlapping and echoing in my head. I could feel their presence now. Dozens, maybe hundreds of eyes watching me from the darkness. I ran. I didn't care where. I just needed to get out. My flashlight flickered, casting erratic beams of light that only made the shadows seem more alive. I stumbled over a fallen stone, crashing to the ground. My flashlight skittered out of my hand and died, leaving me in total darkness. The whispers stopped. The silence that followed was deafening. I lay there, frozen, afraid to move. My heart hammered in my chest as I strained to hear anything. Anything that would tell me I wasn't alone. But there was nothing. And then slowly I felt it. A hand, cold and skeletal, resting on my shoulder. I screamed, scrambling to my feet, but when I turned around, no one was there. Just the darkness. But the village wasn't empty. It never had been. The people of Kuldhara had never truly left. They were still here, and now so was I.